Uh, Cheers. I am so excited to have been chosen for one of the scholarships for the Sabbatical Beauty project. I'm so excited. I am treating myself with a mimosa that looks questionable. There's a blue champagne flavored thing that I had bought around St. Patrick's Day and never got around to busting open. And a stint with the flu gave me lots of orange juice. So I'm trying a questionably colored mimosa. In real life, it looks kind of green, but cheers. And yes, also cheers to the last day of the semester. It does not taste bad, actually. Yeah, so cheers to the last day of the semester, but I am so excited to work on this project. I've been rejuvenated with the idea of being able to talk about how a business can actually be ethical, but specifically looking for how, I don't know, stop it. How, like, specifically the beauty industry can be morally sound, morally questionable, or not questionable. The industry in general with cosmetics and skincare are just alarming. So I've been rejuvenated by this idea that a business can just be morally conscious as well, but specifically one that is involved with the skincare or beauty industry. Oh, quit helping. And so I've been sort of just working on this on my own. Oh, Canada Dry ginger ale with lemonade. Is that good? Should I try that? Does that make Canada Dry taste good? I'm from Michigan, so if it's not Verner's, I don't know how to drink it. I'll have to try that, Quinn. Cheers. But this has sort of given me hope that I can look at a business that is morally respectable, something that has like an ethical justification, and this idea of like embracing our values and people investing in it, and one that invests in the people too. Originally, I'd sort of planned on trying to do some sort of like official presentation. Then I realized that's kind of more what I should be doing later. But I talked before about this idea that beauty is political, the beauty industry is political, businesses in general are going to have values that they are reinforcing. It's sort of like cyclical. Like beauty industries give us the idea of what they think is good, we buy into it, so we buy back, and that's part of it. The other part that I want to focus on too in this discussion that I think this is going to be really good for is this recognition from philosophy. I'm a philosopher by profession, allegedly. And it's this recognition that in Aristotelian like virtue ethics terms, we basically cultivate habits and character traits that make us good people or bad people based on how we view the world, based on how we identify things as being good or bad, and our habits, our behaviors, our choices reinforce that. So if I want to say that I'm an honest person, I can't really say that unless I'm being consistently honest. And I think one of the things that's been troubling for me, but also intriguing for me, is this idea that our business decisions, our purchases, the things that we do are working into, oh yeah, hi Haley, and Lynn, thank you, that our purchases are part of that process too. And I think that's something that, hi Shitra, I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, correct me if I did not. But this idea that our purchases as consumers, that's cultivating and shaping our character as well, and that we have to be mindful of what we're doing and how it's reinforcing or going against what we say we value. And that's why I feel like this project has been so promising for me. It gives me something to look forward to, but it also gives me hope that we can recognize this Aristotelian idea of virtue ethics and flourishing and identifying your values and acting in ways that are consistent with that. Oh, thank you. But then also recognizing that everything we do ends up shaping that. And so when you invest in a company, you're investing in certain types of values. If that company doesn't align with your values, you have to ask yourself, in philosophy, we call it reflexive equilibrium. Are your values going to change, or are your attitudes going to change? And that's sort of where I think my first, hi Brittany, my first bit is going to be, like looking at that framework, such helper, She is all of 7 months old now, so she's in her teen years, and she's so much helping. Oh, and she also farts a lot. I'm sorry. That I can't play poker because of my face. So she's sharing. So I think with my project, what I want to start with is a discussion, like I said before, that businesses have these values. I want to look then at this philosophical concept of like shaping yourself, shaping your character through your habits. Yes, such helper. She's helping with air quality here. Yeah. She's sharing. Makes it hard to pay attention. I'm glad that it's a considerate group because it's hard to keep attention when she's helping. But yeah, so I want to start by looking at this idea of like businesses and values, and then look at Aristotelian ideas of character and habit. And then, hi Maddie, catch on the replay. But then also look at how this is shaping the companies and vice versa. That's what I'm really excited about in this project. I teach business ethics every semester, and it gets depressing really quickly. So I'm just super excited about being able to celebrate us, to document what we've done, what Adeline's done, these opportunities, and actually find something that makes me realize that we have some hope. A friend of mine said, if I can find ethics in the beauty industry, I deserve like all the things or something like that. And I kind of agree in the sense that I think Adeline deserves a lot for what she's done, because it is not easy to, it's not easy to have that type of balance in such a political, whether you like it or not, political area of entrepreneurship. Adeline asked me to explain Aristotelian ideas or ideals. So, quick recap, quick intro to philosophy. Aristotle was a philosopher from ancient Greek, so we're talking several thousand years ago. He's been dead. But he looked at morality as being an issue of character, that we have this obligation to use our practical wisdom, or practical reasoning, to look at people or things that we identify as being good, try to find those habits, those traits, identify what they are, pinpoint and say, that's what a good person does, that's what a bad person does, and then start habituating it. So if I wanted to make an analogy, and he was great about making analogies too, of like, if I wanted to be a healthy person, I would have to look at role models, look at people who are healthy, look at what healthy people do, contemporary sources, look at what the body needs, what the purpose of fuel is, food as fuel, and then start acting in those ways. And Aristotle felt that we could do this with physical activity as well as with intellectual and character traits as well. And he felt we had this moral obligation to put ourselves in the position to be evaluating and considering what we think is good and bad, and then actually going through and acting through it. So if I say that honesty is good, it doesn't necessarily mean being always honest without any sort of filter. It's using your wisdom to know how to be honest, in what context, for what reasons, to what degree, and then habituating that trait. And he had ideals of that like golden mean, like knowing when to be honest, how honest to be, and habituating it to the point that it gets to be second nature. You don't have to think about it. So I'm notoriously on, oh, hi Audrey. I'm notoriously honest. I actually fall to the side of being like excessively honest. And Aristotle would probably say that's a character flaw. But it's always about, yeah, and Brittany says the moral laws within us shape us. Yeah, it's recognition of that moral intuition, that moral instinct, and then taking your reasoning, your wisdom, logic, philosophy in my case, to understand the way the world works and see how those ideals fit in. And that's one of the things I've been trying to focus on with my business ethics classes, is this idea that you are acting in ways that are shaping and reinforcing values in yourself and in others. And what's important is that you take the time to think about what those values are. That's kind of the thing. I bought this gnarly looking alcohol to support a a local business that was trying to do a St. Patrick's Day thing. I did not want blue champagne, but local business, I wanted to help them. And here we are, now I get to celebrate for a special occasion. There was a conscious thought in there. Oh, Haley, you're not good at surprises either? Oh, no, I can't. You can't tell me a secret. That's sort of what I want to address. And part of what I'll do with my project is actually do some like videos or webinars, as well as quick little blogs to give you that background info, because a lot of what I'm focusing on does entail these philosophical roots. And Adeline mentioned that it's amazing that we're celebrating philosophy in a beauty brand and our community being good, and I agree. But I will give you sort of like the background to philosophy, like how this is all interconnecting, more articulate explanation of Aristotle, and how he is shaping my understanding of virtue ethics. That's what we call this branch of philosophy. And then how that's going to connect into ideas of businesses, and then using that analysis of different businesses. So you'll get to see a variety of different things, videos like this, lives like this, where I can just talk to you. If you have questions, I can let you know. Need help with your philosophy homework, my girl. But in general, like I want you to see like the foundation for this project as well as that final goal. So I mentioned before that I want this to be like a tiered level, and that's kind of my goal for you, that give you a variety of these different things to help you think about your role in society, your role as an individual, the reason why we all love this community, the reason why this community works for us is rooted in something Aristotelian, whether you realize it or not. My goal is to convince you of that. And then see how that actually relates to like the business entrepreneurial part, like the way that we are as consumers, as we are as like a business, what types of businesses we should be looking for, what types we should be avoiding, depending on your values. And I will be soliciting help from you wherever I can, and feedback questions. It's going to be my sort of like my summer hobby. I'm kind of excited. I haven't been interested in research in a while, but this is just something I kept saying I'm going to do it no matter what, because it just makes me excited. And because I love you, I'll tell you a secret. It's not like a big secret, but back when I was at Central Michigan University working on my undergrad, I got a little feisty. It was my, Aristotelian ideals and sadobiological beauty. I could write like a whole bit about it. I will. I was a sophomore at Central, just starting my philosophy major, getting a little bit crusty. I heard people talking about a pageant that was coming into campus, and they had this idea that a pageant had to be like necessarily like bad, that it was just objectifying women. Please, yeah, you can see I cannot keep the secret. You didn't even know I had a secret and I have to tell you. But I really took objection to the fact that they had this very narrow idea that women only fit this like Barbie mold. And so in, hey Brandy, catch the replay, follow up on comments later. So I joined the pageant, kind of on a whim. I had been in a pageant before just to prove somebody wrong because they said I couldn't place, so I had to join it and win when I was in high school. But at college, I had this idea that we needed to reframe the understanding of like beauty and competition and what women's scholarship was. And I joined a pageant in Mount Pleasant. And in the interview, I kept talking about philosophy and like how like the Republic was like this great idea of like philosophical works and how it has social implications and yada, yada, yada. And I remember the group being a little bit unusually, like they didn't know how to respond to me, but I also had this whole talk about how as long as people who were in pageants were perpetuating this idea that women are supposed to be just pretty and not thinking, we were going to have a problem. And so this general idea of beauty and competition has been something I didn't realize was sort of at my core until like kind of just a second, like when Adeline was like, oh, we're celebrating philosophy and beauty. I'm like, oh yeah, there was that time. I enlisted in a beauty pageant and went on a tear about how we needed to be looking at intellectual virtues as well as like physical and all this other junk. And I know you're curious. I did not win. I did win Miss Congeniality somehow. I don't know how, or something like that. Not congeniality, something. I won like some money. I did not take home the prize. I did not have to be a queen, but that was sort of the formulation, like the early steps of realizing that women had the power to demand how we wanted to be seen, to demand our standards of beauty, our own society. And I literally jumped in oh yeah, I don't think it was Miss Congeniality. I think it was like most photogenic or something. It was back when I was in blonde, so Miss Congeniality doesn't sound right. I think it was like most photogenic or like viewer's choice or something. I think my ex dropped $100 or something. I don't know. I don't think I won it. But it was that like beginning of the idea that we need to like take this back, that women's issues we get to take back, women's values, women's attractiveness, what it means to be a good person, to compete, to have values. And it was me just jumping in to be crusty because I didn't like how people were talking about it. And that's sort of where I'm at now. I'm being crusty and saying like, no, the beauty industry can have good values behind it. We can have a good, helpful community based on this idea of support without these superficial issues. And that's where, yeah, sabbatical beauty, badass women like me. I'm sometimes badass. But I think that's sort of where my project is, and it's why I'm so excited and why I'm willing to share with you and be completely just myself with you, because it's such a good community and I want to reward it and I want to celebrate it. And cheers to us. Any questions about my life, my history, my pageanting? Yes. Celebrate each other, not competition. Build each other up, don't tear people down. I think I've said that before, but that's what it keeps coming back to, that we want to look at what we're reinforcing and what type of people we are and how we're interacting with other people. And grew up in the United States, where it is really common for a woman to elevate herself by pointing out the flaws in other people. And I just can't do that anymore. And I've been actively trying to fight against it because I don't think that's what's going to work. It's not going to make me the type of person that I want to be, in that Aristotelian sense of, that's not what a compassionate person's like. That's not what an honest person's like. That's not what a brave person. Oh, you want to know why I became a philosophy major and professor? Oh, it's so embarrassing. So when I was at Central, I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was taking philosophy classes just for funsies because they seemed like fun. And I was planning on transferring out to become a sign language interpreter. So I did a couple years of study of sign language, ASL, deaf culture at Central Michigan, and I was going to transfer out. And I was having a moral problems class, and I loved it. I loved having fights. And I asked the prof, like, hey, is philosophy a major? And she was like, meet me on Friday. And so I showed up to meet her on Friday, and she just slid a piece of paper across the table, and she's like, here, you're a major. I'm like, oh, great. But I loved that discussion. I loved the dialogue. I loved looking at people's motivations, the way that we respond to things, why we value the things that we do, the way that that affects public policy. In that class, we looked at moral problems. So we looked at moral debate and how it is reflected in law and vice versa. And I just loved it, and went on, did my master's, and I really like being in the trenches with the students. I like having that dialogue with people to help them realize like the way they see the world and the way that they shape it, and it shapes them back, and to think about things in ways that are new. And so that's why I still do this. Like, I don't know where else I fit, but I love that idea of helping people think about things and understand what they think and why, and how they can justify it, and how they can make their mark on the world and actually understand it and make sure that it's the mark they want to, because we're all doing it, we're all influencing the world, we're all shaping the things around us. It's just some of us are doing it consciously and some of us are just reacting. And that's kind of where that like love for being a professor came from. And I teach at a community college by choice. I think it started out as a choice. I like the teaching focus more than the research focus. I'd rather be in the trenches with my students and get them to try to figure out the complications of certain views of ontology and rights and how it can mean things like you can say that like there's this human right to life, but it means that like zombies also have rights too. I like to take in pop culture, contemporary issues, and look at how that affects what we're doing and what our justifications are. And if you don't like, I will try so hard to help you be a better person, Danielle, but I think you're probably already pretty great. I will help you realize that you're already a good person. I like to find those logical hiccups and help people through them. So that's kind of why I like to do that. But it's also why I want to, yeah, Quinn, I did a presentation on zombies and rights, and the end of it is basically like, you can't eat your bacon and shoot your zombie. Either your criteria for rights that allows you to eat bacon means you can't kill the zombie, or pigs don't have rights, which means the zombies do. So that's the thing I did. If you ever want to hear about zombies and rights, let me know. I can make that happen for you. But yeah, that's how we've come full circle from me being a saucy little girl fighting in pageants to prove that pageants don't have to be superficial, to almost 18 years later, me still reinforcing that message that the beauty industry and the role of women in society can be better than what people expect of us. And it's sort of like our job to think about what we're doing and how we can reinforce that and make it happen. And that's what I'm going to be working over this summer. That's what I'll be sharing with you. Are there other questions or comments? I feel like this was supposed to be a, hi, I'm excited, and it turned into an impromptu lecture. I'm sorry. It's the philosopher in me. I have so much to say. And like an audience right now. I never have an audience, so it's nice. Anything? Give it a minute. Yeah, that's embarrassing. I have no concept of time. Oh, Lynn, yeah, me neither. Lynn commented that she can't believe this is happening in a beauty group, and I can't either. I wouldn't have thought this was a possibility a few years ago, even a year ago, that I could be actually having a good, meaningful discussion about philosophy, the stuff that I'm interested in a group that's focused on skincare. Oh, hi, Rochelle. And I can't remember if it's Rochelle or Roselle. I can't remember the pronunciation. I feel like I got it wrong, but like, hi, thanks for joining. Yes, Darci will make beauty great. I will do what I can. And I look forward to keeping up with you. Yeah, replays are good. You will see lots of, we'll call them authentic moments. If you're listening to the replay, this is what we call the authentic experience. It's not scripted. Yeah, sorry, not sorry. Okay. It's that authenticity that we respond to. And it's one of the things that inspired me to work on this, that I am by nature a very shy, very introverted person. And this group has made me sort of come out of that shell to the point that I'm really angry. I had a pimple, and I was so excited to show you that I had a pimple so that you could then see that it went away. But it went away already. Thanks, Adeline. You like killed my like grand gesture or whatever it was I was gonna do. Yeah, I had a pimple and it went away like overnight. So I can't even show you that. And that's sort of that authenticity of this group, that we want to put ourselves out there, that we're being sincere, we're allowing ourselves to be vulnerable, and that vulnerability seems to make us hold each other more accountable and ourselves too. And that's something I think is really phenomenal and hard to replicate. I'm not entirely sure how we've managed to do that, but it's one of the things I want to look at, that the more people put themselves out there, the more we build that up, and the more we hold each other and ourselves accountable in a way that's pretty impressive, considering that a lot of us probably just popped over here because we wanted our skin to look a little bit better. Or we had a friend who brought us in, gave us a hint, like, here, you will love this, it will change your life. But considering that we've been able to find this common goal, it's kind of impressive and amazing. And I'm really looking forward to talking about this more and doing the research and keeping you updated and giving you little impromptu philosophy lectures. Whether you want them or not, I'm just going to post them. That's my money move, my philosophy in action. So while I was rambling, anything else you want me to say? More questions? History and beauty pageants. This is why I can't play poker. Now you know. Like, I just can't. I have a thought and I have to tell you. No? Give me just a second because I know there's always a lag. And while I'm waiting, I'll just say thank you to Adeline for making this possible, and thank you to everyone who allowed us to have multiple scholarships. That's an amazing testament of this community, that Adeline had offered something amazing and we wanted to amplify it. And that, Sabbatical Beauty starts, it's not just skin deep, starts from the topmost surface and goes right through down to your values. Yes, I'm stealing that. I will make a thing out of that. I like it. But yeah, so do you want me to talk about actives? We can be actives. It's a good play on that title of my project, Beauty in Action. Like, that action, that activism is something that is required for us to become better people. So Adeline talks about the high actives in the products that make our skins better. And I can talk about the actives in our behaviors and our actions that make us better people, or more aware of the type of people we are. I can talk about actives. I can make that work. But yeah, that's it. So thanks to Adeline, to everyone who donated money to make the multiple scholarships possible, to everyone who applied. I want to congratulate you all for doing so well. I know it was very difficult for the community to pick the winner, and I'm humbled that somehow I ended up being at the top. Oh yeah, Lynn was saying that the actives work in our values. I agree. Got that. Nope, I can make it work. Yeah, look forward to the other lives from the other groups that are going to be presenting. We're supposed to do their reaction videos. They might be more reactionary than me. You might be saved of a philosophy lecture, depending on their motivations and projects. And we will keep you posted, and follow us on YouTube. You can check us out on Sabbatical Beauty, catch us on the replay. I'll be keeping an eye on comments, so if somebody is catching this on the replay, thanks. I'll try to answer any questions or comments you might have, and give some love to all our beauties. And the last thing I'll say is, I love you too. Adeline is starting to take applications for the summer box reviewers, and I cannot encourage you enough to put yourself out there and try. The reviewers have loved their experiences. I learned so much from them. It's such a good, rewarding opportunity. So if you're on the fence, just do it. Apply and just keep putting yourself out there, because we want to hear you, we want to see you. And even if you're not like the chosen one, we still love so much about what you're doing that we want to hear it. So I encourage you to apply for that opportunity. It's going to be amazing. And I don't know what the products are yet, but I bet they're amazing, because Adeline's done a good job of identifying what types of products are going to be good for different types of seasons. So yeah, okay, so philosophy lectures are the best? Good, because you're going to keep getting them whether you want them or not. But all right, so I think that's everything I meant to hit, and then, 30 minutes more. So thanks to everyone who's watching this live, and thanks to everyone who catches it on the replay, and I will talk to you soon. Cheers.